one of the things that we wanted to go beyond the rankings discourse, and I, at least from what I have heard, and yesterday's the keynote address itself, it really helped us to go beyond the rankings discourse. In some ways, it's not so much about when we say beyond the rankings discourse, not for universities to ignore rankings, but it's really to think in terms of universities should focus on what really matters, and when you focus on what matters, then the inevitable outcome is rankings. And frankly speaking, I can assure you that when we started this university in the year 2009, we had absolutely no focus on rankings at all. And and in fact, we began to focus on rankings in a stronger manner only when we actually broke into the BRICS rankings for the first time last year. And since then, we've set up the office. So in a way, it actually, if there is a formula for this, we've actually proven here that none of what we did in the early years was dictated. In fact, I did not, frankly speaking, I'll be very candid with you, I did not know the evolution of rankings as much as I did over the years. So in a way, it resonates with what our thinking is, and it reinforces our own commitment. And as this university prepares its 10th anniversary next year, some of these conversations that we've had will inform our engagement for the future. I can only say that some of the big outcomes that I can think of is how sort of regional engagement is important, how institutions which are similarly situated need to be doing more things together. Some of the things which Iran had raised in the keynote address. I've always wondered why not have an Erasmus model within BRICS, an Erasmus model within South Asia. These are things which we don't talk about it, and I don't expect the governments to talk about it, and that's why universities have to really do something about it. You must have read and probably seen the Sonipat declaration that has been circulated before, and I'm grateful to my friend Stephen Marks, who was one of the authors of the Sonipat declaration a few years. This is 3 years old. So we intend to do, I don't know how we call it, Sonipat 2 declaration or Haryana declaration or whatever, but there is a case for revisiting the declaration, but also drawing upon some of the things that we did in this conference to formulate a new declaration, which will help us to prepare not just India, but also many countries in the region and beyond, including the BRICS, to prepare themselves for the future. There is something to be said about the word culture is very important there. A culture has longitudinal. It has the durability of time and space and all of that. And then, of course, rankings provides an urgency, and benchmarking provides a comparison. So there's a lot that could be brought within that declaration, which we will formulate a draft and will share with all of you before we formally publish such a declaration. It's not that everybody who participated in the conference will have to agree to the declaration, just as we did even last time too. The idea is to formulate a set of principles and values that can inform the future in terms of building a culture of excellence. So with those words, I want to invite my colleague who I understand will be speaking about a comprehensive report of the conference. I understand he has agreed to restrict his speech to 45 minutes. So please, Professor Murthy.
It has been a wonderful conference, and I want to start with a disclaimer. It's not humanly possible to capture the rich deliberations and the interesting points made, and also the recommendations in 5 minutes time. So whatever I'm saying, it doesn't really this thing, but what we plan to do is to bring out a report. I request the Orbit and the IIHED team to sit together and prepare a detailed report, and also we plan to prepare a follow-up declaration on as an outcome of this conference. In the inaugural session, there were an interesting point made about the regulators as an enablers of excellence and not as impediments. Dr. Iran mentioned about the epoch-making changes, and there were some useful suggestions made by the speakers on how we should look at our own libraries and about the crisis in the library system and how simple bibliographic softwares can make a big change. There were also suggestions about improving research productivity and also internationalization. And there were references to even food and references to public good and how we should uphold the public good character of our universities. And we also reviewed the Chinese double world-class policy, which looks at the first-class universities and also first-class disciplines. And there was a gender dimension that was brought out, and how we have very few women vice chancellors. And also, if you look at Indian Institute of Technology, how there's a small proportion of women students, how that must be addressed. There were references made to employability, diversity, governance, and many other important issues. Language issue, how language can be an impediment in the question of cross-national collaborations in the BRICS context. And there were references made to foundation by way of school education and how that is a weak one in some contexts, and how the good teachers are not teaching good students. Good teachers are teaching only the good students, and how good teachers are not coming, how good professionals are not coming to the teaching profession, and then the low wages paid to teachers. These are really important challenges, and so there was if in the quest for excellence, there are three things which are important: funds, faculty, and freedom. So if you have to look at the faculty, we have to look at, we have to address the diversity aspect, we have to address the foundational aspects, and we have to align education with industry 4.0. In the morning also, a number of interesting points have been made, how to promote research collaboration, data, knowledge sharing, and how we must use data strategically to improve the university's profile and research output, and the quality versus quantity aspect was also discussed. And I want to thank all the panelists, all the chairs for their very interesting contributions, and we look forward to taking this forward by preparing a comprehensive report as well as further follow-up Sonipat declaration on the issue of promoting a culture of excellence in universities.
All right. Thank you, Professor Muti. Now I invite Professor Khalid Saleh, Vice Chancellor of Ajman University, UAE, to deliver his valedictory address.
Very focused, with an excellent mix of speakers and participants. I'm really shocked to know that the preparations have been made very recently in a very short time. I have to admit that this is one of the best focused conferences I have attended, and this is not a compliment, this is reality. And the amount of intellectual content of the speakers is enormous. It's really very, very impressive. And I'd like also to take this opportunity to congratulate GJU or JGU. It's confusing for the G and the J. And it's even worse with the P and the B and so on. So for your upcoming 10th anniversary, we relate to young universities a lot because I come from a young country with so many young universities. This, like I said, the conference has addressed the different themes and the different sessions in an excellent way. Many questions have been answered thoroughly. But as you know, when we talk about excellence, ranking, benchmarking, this is like open-ended topics that we will never reach a definite answer, just like the different ranking agencies, as we've seen, do not correlate very well. So there's always a room for subjectivity and so on. I have to admit, I am pretty ignorant when it comes to formalities, valedictorian, all this. I come from American education, so I'm not used to the formalities. So I had to just, improvise and come up with what this speech is going to be and so on. So what I did is I'm going to just raise some of the questions, re-raise some of the questions that have been answered in different ways, and put them in a context where we leave more, if you will, time and room for everybody to ponder upon these questions and come up with further elaborations. So what are these questions? I think to excel or not to excel, right? That should not be a question. We must excel, okay? At every level, institutional level, administration, middle leadership, deans and so on, faculty, employees, and everybody. So there is no question about the need for excellence. The other question is to do research or not to do research. That is not a question, right? We must do research, and we will elaborate a little bit more on that. The other issue is to rank or not to rank. That is the question. Now we're coming to a closer answer to this, and this is becoming more like not a question, but I think there is still a lot of things that need to be answered around that. And related to that, to do continuous assessment, whether it's self-assessment or otherwise, or not to do it, that is not an option anymore. We must, indulge in this culture of continuous assessment for institutions to be positioned where they want to be, or to attain the ranking and the recognition and so on. I think the key is in genuine self-assessment and continuous one as well. And where, like I said in my earlier speech, is where we complete the cycle. I mean, closing the loop is the most important part. You might do a continuous assessment regularly, vigorously, and so on, but when it comes to closing the loop, some of us come short, and then of course the whole process falls apart, becomes useless. I also talked earlier about what type of excellence are we talking about. And is it norm referenced excellence or criteria referenced excellence? Are we more into ranking or accreditation, the way I see it? I think accreditation is a prerequisite for ranking. It's very, very important that we have strong accreditation bodies, okay? And oftentimes, to get to the, if you will, to the unbiased accreditation schemes, maybe it's good to strive to have international accreditations, program accreditations, maybe institutional and so on. At least you will have a different point of view that is less affected by politics and so on. So I think continuous assessment is very much related to accreditation, maybe international and national when it's viable and when it's credible. And this will lead to the next level, which is the norm referenced excellence, which brings the good ranking and so on. Eminence, should it be sought or bestowed? I mean, how does it work? I'm guessing, like I said earlier, that when you are on the excellence staff, where you're always improving, where excellence becomes a culture, becomes a new DNA, I think eminence will come. So this is my view about it. As my good friend here, Professor Ellsberg, said, ranking, ends or means? We all know, we all admit that it is means, it should be means. But I think so many institutions think of it as ends. And if we think of ranking as ends, I don't think it will serve the purpose. Just like Karthik mentioned that when the ranking person left or the data collection person left that university, the university fell apart or something because ranking was not driven by genuine motive, right? So I think it definitely should be means for improvement, excellence, and so on. Collaboration, international collaboration or otherwise, should it be a must or is it a luxury? I think that we are in an age where collaboration must be enforced, and it should be in a very fabric of the strategic goals of the university at all levels, student, faculty, research, you name it, without being exposed to the outside world. With a country like India, which is a world by itself, I think you can really go into this, for the computer scientists, this infinite loops. You go to things, you keep going back and forth and not getting, you know, the perception that you should be getting, the international one. Data collection and maintenance, updating this data. Like I said again, this must be genuine. This must be something that we do regularly. And I think most of our institutions in this part of the world, including the Middle East or so on, some of the top universities, what we thought top universities. For example, in the Middle East, Cairo University is one of the oldest and the most glamorous and so on. And you know, President Obama, when he first addressed the Arab world, he went to Cairo thinking that it's like America. It's not. Cairo University, there are no Egyptians here, so I won't be in big trouble. So you can montage this. Cairo University is not really having the position that it should have because I don't think it has data. You know, I don't think they're able to track the millions of graduates, so they don't even know where their alumni, and so except for those who became prime ministers and presidents and so on. Internationalization. We should again focus on internationalization for the sake of our students, you know, and students are the center of the entire higher education. Kartik mentioned a university without students, right? How could a university be there without students? Students are the center of the entire higher education, and I think we have not really spent so much time talking about students and their role and their position in this, in the context of ranking and so on. And as I mentioned earlier, I think things are changing very rapidly. As you know, universities have always been the producers of technology, right? Most of the technologies that we are enjoying today came from the Silicon Valley, the universities in the vicinity of the Silicon Valley, right? But I think we, as educators, as people in the higher education field, I think we are the most resistant sector for technology. Many of us still teach the same way they were taught 20, 30, 40 years. Some are even using the same, you know, yellow notes. They're still keeping them, and I think that has to change, and it will, and I think there will be some disruption in this regard. Cultural context. Should it be taken into consideration when we're talking about excellence and ranking? Absolutely. I think this is not being addressed the way it should be addressed by the different ranking bodies, and it should be. So with this, I'd like to conclude. I would like to thank everyone. Thank Raj again, and thank him for introducing this very nice crowd to me, and I really enjoyed this conference. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the UP Jindal Global University, it is my privilege to give the vote of thanks on this occasion today. While there's a long list of people I need to thank, I will make this as brief as possible so we can head to lunch very quickly. I'd like to begin with taking this opportunity to firstly thank our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Raj Kumar, and our Registrar, Dr. Murthy. It is their vision which has enabled us to actually plan this conference today on a topic which I believe is a very relevant topic in today's time for higher education. Thank you both, sir. Needless to say, this would have been nothing without our guest speakers who have traveled from across the globe to be with us today and share their diverse set of opinions on these 2 days with us. Special thanks to Dr. Iran and traveling all the way down to India to be with us for 4 days. Thank you again for being here, bringing such a diverse set of thoughts and ideas. Thank you to our wonderful faculty for helping us with emceeing, and of course, for moderators for chairing our panels and providing the desired direction to all our discussions. Also, big thank you to all of you delegates who have been with us for the last 2 days, and we hope this discussion has been as enriching for you as it's been for me personally. Special thanks to our teams at IIHED and Orbit, who have been a very big part of executing this conference, and the members of our VC and Registrar's Office who have always been there for their constant support. Of course, most importantly, the event would not have gone smoothly without the support of our teams, events, facility management, food services, ID, audiovisual, travel, transport, design, documentation, communication, and our wonderful photographer, videographer, and rapper, who has helped us capture this moment in various formats. Fine.
Now they listen to us, that's pretty good.
Yes. And it's Finally, while she's not here today due to other commitments, a big thank you to my fellow program coordinator Nandita Koshal, who is truly responsible for making this conference come alive and helping us taking it from the original vision to what it has been today. Today we are at an important juncture of change where each of us being a part of the education industry in different capacities has a responsibility towards promoting this culture of excellence in higher education. And as very beautifully summed up by Professor Asley, that rankings and benchmarking is not the end, but a very, very important means to its end. So on that note, I would like to close the session, hoping that this is only the beginning of many such more future interactions. Thank you, everyone. Of course, Mr. Batra, apology with big thank you.
I want to take a personal effort to thank both the Orbit directors, Professor Ashish Bharadwaj and Professor Arya Majumdar for their leadership, and the IHED faculty members, Anamika and Roshmi and Nandita, and also the Orbit, sort of the backbone of Orbit, Abhinav and Akhil and many others, all of whom have made a significant contribution towards this conference. You know, you'll be very, just to let you know, when did we decide we're going to have this conference?
October.
No, October. 15th October. So thank you so much for all of you, and particularly for the two of you for really taking this effort to come. And I actually gave him even shorter notice. We met over dinner in Dubai just a few weeks ago, and I think sometimes I personally believe, at least I'm not superstitious, but I do think destiny has this amazing ability to bring together people when they are independently pursuing common causes. And that's what this conference is all about. So thank you once again.